Welcome everybody to another episode of the Nightcap. Obviously I'm Levi and joined by Dylan this week. Matthias is currently stuck driving home right now. I guess he had a meeting run late or something. So it's just me and Dylan holding the fort down for a little while anyways, and don't know what for sure if Matthias is going to make her back or not. But what's going on, Dylan?
Not a whole lot. I mean, spirits are higher, I guess.
Vibes are better.
Yeah. I mean, it was it's good. I don't know. I don't know how you felt about it, but like obviously winning is good, but like at the same time it felt a little bit like you kind of still felt the deflation from the previous 2 weeks, you know? It was like
I guess it was one of those where this is a game you should have won, that you were supposed to win, but yeah, it wasn't like they went out and just blew them out or anything like that. They played a pretty good game. They controlled it. They controlled it for the most part for most of the game. But they didn't blow them out or anything like that. I honestly, for me, it was mainly just let's get back in the win column.
and it wasn't, at least not a blowout, but it wasn't like like the UCF game, or it wasn't like we had to do something miraculous to win again. Like holy shit. So I mean,
by the time you get to the second half, it was starting to like, okay, we've pretty much got this thing.
Yeah, it was fine. It just sucks. It just still sucks.
Yeah, it still is like,
because you know what, you can go win these next two games and it doesn't matter,
and it may not matter at all.
Yeah, there is a scenario where it does not matter if you win out.
And it's going to be funny because if you do win out and go 10-2, which I mean, right now they're set like anywhere between 5.5 and 7.5 point favorites versus Utah. And I would imagine they'll be probably, depending on what Kansas State and Iowa State do this weekend, but I would guess you're probably maybe a 4 or 5 point favorite over Kansas State at home, something like that. You're going to be favored to win the next two games, probably. So you could, there's a very like realistic timeline where Iowa State finishes the season 10-2, wins 10 games for the first time in school history, and we're all like, well, that was a disappointment.
Win 10 game regular season wins, and just like,
and we're all kind of whatever about it.
Yeah, it's the most
because we all saw what was there.
Season ever.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. Just funny.
Kansas is hot. Kansas is hot right now.
Kansas is hot. Absolutely. Colorado is absolutely on upset alert this weekend. No question about
the only thing is, I don't know if the Kansas the train might run out of steam. You know what I mean? Like when you get those really big wins that are super emotional, it can sometimes be hard to like use that as momentum.
And Colorado is a very explosive offense, and I mean Kansas's defense has played better the last couple of weeks, but they're not a good defense.
It might be a shootout though.
Absolutely. I'd be shocked if that game wasn't in the 40s at least for both teams. I'd be pretty surprised. But Colorado's absolutely on upset alert this weekend, and all you need to win out, and you need Colorado to lose a game.
Yeah, I mean, watch out for a little bit of dodgy officiating out there in that game. Just saying.
Yeah, because you need Colorado in, and you'd like Arizona State to win this weekand as well. You'd like Arizona State to beat BYU this weekend.
I just can't wait to see if like there's like just egregiously bad officiating in the Colorado Kansas game, just because
in favor of Colorado. Yeah, just
because
to get Deion into the playoff.
Yeah, Deion needs to be in the playoff in terms of, because I mean, the one thing that he's really good at as a football coach is getting eyeballs. And what do you think the playoff likes? So.
Like if you put like Colorado in the playoff and they're playing any sort of like high profile SEC team, that's going to draw a lot of eyeballs. And which, I mean, if they're playing in the first round and they don't get a bye, I mean, you're looking at Colorado maybe playing Georgia or Alabama or somebody like that in the first round. If assuming either of those two make it, I guess if neither of them make it, you might be playing Tennessee in the first round, which is also going to be a big draw.
They would have to. I'm assuming they would have to win the Big 12 to make it.
Colorado. Oh yeah. Well, that's the hell of the thing though, is that like there's an absolutely realistic scenario where you have BYU, Colorado, Arizona State, and Iowa State all finish at 10-2, which is kind of wild. But then it's just a really weird series of tiebreakers.
Right.
Like Iowa State needs help for sure. If favorites win on out, then Iowa State's going to get left out, which sucks because you're going to be at 10-2 and whatever, and 7-2 in conference, and you're just going to lose out on tiebreakers, which is unfortunate that you're to the point now where you had these big super conferences that you have to, your tiebreakers currently involve games that you were not involved in, and they happened back in September and you were not even involved in those games. It sucks that that's how the tiebreakers are currently set up, where Iowa State may not get in because of a Cincinnati Arizona State game in September, or whatever, or an Arizona game, an Arizona Texas Tech game in September or something like that, where that could affect Iowa State's, that could affect someone's playoff road down the line that didn't play either of those two teams or something like that. That sucks.
Yeah.
Because
BYU's got Arizona State.
Yeah, and Arizona State absolutely could win that.
And then that's an interesting tiebreaker, right? Just like what you're talking about.
If
Iowa
Arizona State
and BYU, two teams that didn't play.
Right.
Yep. Arizona State is not a common. What's the common opponent is Kansas State and Baylor, which both of them beat both of them. Utah, I guess.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that would shake out.
I mean, right now the best path for Iowa State is to win out, and then Kansas beats Colorado this weekend, and Arizona State beats BYU. If those three things happen, Iowa State's in.
You don't even need BYU to lose, though, right? You just need
there are scenarios you can get in without BYU losing, but BYU losing helps a lot because Iowa State has a lot of tiebreakers over Colorado, and they have a few over Arizona State. So there's a pretty decent chance. So if Arizona State wins this weekend, Kansas wins this weekend, and Iowa State wins out, that it'll be Iowa State, Arizona State in the Big 12 title game. That's what it would be.
That'd be cool.
I think that would be cool too. But I mean, no matter what, Iowa State's got two tough games to finish out the season. Against two teams that are capable of beating them. And like I said, even though Iowa State's roughly a touchdown favorite over Utah right now, Utah's defense is very good, and it's maybe as good as Iowa's this season. Like it's a very good defense. Their offense is very bad, but
that kind of matchup fits our team better, right? Because our offense can play a little ball. Our defense has been good, but a little banged up, as we talk about every single week. But
yeah. If you're going to ask me to choose to play either, a team that like Texas Tech or Kansas, that you have like a high power offense and a bad defense versus playing a good defense and a bad offense, I'll take that. I'll take that second one all day because Iowa State can still move the ball against good defenses. Offenses that are capable of really stretching the field or doing some weird stuff to throw off the young linebackers worries me a lot more. Utah is a very inefficient offense, though.
Starting to get some back a little bit in the injury front, I guess. Like
Iowa State's defense is, Will McLaughlin came back and played last week. He graded out really bad, like just being out of position and stuff like that, but he hasn't played all year. I would assume he'll probably be quite a bit better this week.
And then we're on the Caleb Bacon for last week. Kansas State.
At this point, if we haven't heard anything at all suggesting that Caleb Bacon could be on the way back, he's not coming back. I think he's probably done. But you got some Jack Sadowski back.
You think we would hear anything? You think we would literally hear anything?
We've been hearing Will McLaughlin's like getting close. We've been hearing that for the last month or so, and he did come back. So, but I haven't heard anything along the lines of like, oh, he's practicing again or he's lifting again or whatever. Right. Like I haven't heard any of that. So maybe he comes back for a bowl game, but I would be pretty shocked if we saw Caleb Bacon before the end of the regular season or even in a theoretical Big 12 title game. I'd be pretty surprised. So I don't know. I'm not counting on. I think right now you are hoping you get bodies back. You get Will McLaughlin back. Hopefully you keep Jack Sadowski back. Maybe Cale Brazini can theoretically get a little bit healthier. Maybe Zach Lovett can get healthy. They're down so many guys now where you're just taking anybody that you can. But getting bodies back is good. That's better.
Yeah.
Especially guys like Will McLaughlin that have played a million snaps for Iowa State. So I don't know. It's
I mean,
tough.
with the current roster that we have that played last Saturday, we can beat both the teams we have left.
Oh,
and then
yeah. No
you
question.
just kind of hope that you can get the ball to roll your way a couple times and push the season out a little bit longer and maybe get a couple more, I guess.
Yeah, well, and you look at, Utah and Kansas State both Utah very far short of what people thought they would be this season, and Kansas State has probably fallen a little bit short. And now Kansas State has been 100% eliminated from the title game conversation. So they've kind of got nothing to play for at this point, other than pride, trying to get an extra win or something like that, or build for next year type of thing. But K-State's done. They've got nothing to play for.
Utah is playing for bowl eligibility, though.
Utah is playing for bowl eligibility, and
tough place to play.
So this one's definitely the tougher of the two, I would say. No, well, I don't know if I'd say definitely. Kansas State's definitely the better team, but going on the road against a team that's just scratching and clawing, trying to get to bowl eligibility type of thing, that's a dangerous spot too. But both games are very winnable. Both, I would say matches up pretty well with Utah in terms of, if you look at the numbers, Utah's offense, they're averaging 4.9. They're averaging under 5 yards of play. They're averaging, so they're at 52.88% completion on the year. They're averaging under 53% completions on the year. It's not very good.
Right.
They're under 33% on third down. They're just very inefficient on offense. They just can't move the ball very well, and they really struggle in the red zone too. But then you look at the defensive side of the ball. Their defensive third down rate is 24%, which is staggeringly low. That's a very good number on defense. And they're allowing under 80% on red zone scoring, which is also a very good number. So it's a mountain to climb on defense. When Iowa State's on offense, but Utah is very much, the Iowa State's defense is good enough and healthy enough to bottle up whatever Utah is going to try to do. Obviously, their quarterback situation is fairly dire. Not Luke Wilson. Is it Luke Wilson? I think it's maybe Luke Wilson. Zach Wilson's younger brother is the quarterback there. He's the backup. The first, Cam Rising, the starter, and the third string quarterback are both done for the year. So as far as I know, this Wilson kid is the only healthy scholarship quarterback that they have on the roster at this point. He's not great. He's not really a running threat. He's an okay passer, but it's the scary part about Utah besides their defense is probably how old they are. They are overrun with 4th, 5th, and 6th year seniors. With 4th, 5th, and 6th year seniors and stuff like that. And obviously Kyle Whittingham's a very good football coach. So it's experience and coaching. I think that's probably the scariest part of this, just because Iowa State is still very young as a football team. So I don't know.
Feels like, just from what you're saying and, kind of how their season's been, I don't think that they can beat us. I think we would have to beat us. I think they don't have the offense to be able to especially if we show up to play on defense. We're banged up, but we are known for shutting down really explosive offenses. So I just don't see the firepower there to be able to put up enough points to win the football game. But now if we go out and it's just a shit fest of mistakes and turnovers and penalties, then we've seen that story before. But man, I just hope I just want to go win both these games by 40, and then whatever happens.
Just
happens,
see what happens. Yeah, it's yeah. I don't know.
I thought I guess the reason that I'm so like down about it is because I thought at this point in the season in our conference would be like really, really exciting. And it's just not.
It's not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's fascinating because Iowa State is now playing for a 10-2 football season, and it may not matter.
Right. But like when I looked at the schedule preseason, right before we even went 7-0,
yeah,
I looked at these last two games like, man, those are going to be like two of the biggest games in college football this year. Like,
yep. I would, Iowa State, Kansas State had a potential to be a massive showdown, between theoretically
like 11-1,
11-1 team, 11-11, 11-0 and 10-1 type of thing, where the winner goes to the Big 12 title game. It was, we both thought. Now, the lack of excitement around these games now is not necessarily at the fault of Iowa State. It's mostly because Utah's been bad this year.
I mean, it's kind of at the fault of the entire conference. Is just like, but it's not just our conference; it's all of them. Like the SEC, the SEC is not going to have 11-0 team playing. Like it's just, it's so weird, and I don't know if you chalk it up to the conference realignment or what the NIL. Like there's been so many changes so rapidly that
the only team that's been consistently dominant all year long is Oregon. Like that's the only
and I mean they've even like scraped by a couple times.
Was it South Dakota gave them a run or like at the beginning of the year?
Wisconsin last week.
Wisconsin gave them a run. I mean like even Oregon's winning close games and stuff like that. So there just isn't like a full blown dominant team in college football this year like there has been for quite a while where Georgia was the dominant team for the last few years. And then, before that, it was Alabama or Ohio State or whoever,
there was always a team, even at like week 5, you were like, that team's going to be there in the last 4. Like they'll be, but there's really like, when this playoff starts, I couldn't tell you who's going to be who. I have no idea.
Yeah, it's tricky one. And part of it too is who gets in from the ACC and the Big 12 is wildly up in the air at this point. Well, I guess the ACC is not necessarily as up in the air. I think everyone pretty much assumes it's going to be Miami coming out of there. But
I honestly, this sounds shitty, but I think the rest of the country and all the analysts and everybody in the committee probably don't think it's interesting about the ACC and Big 12. They think it's going to be
they're going to lose right away. Yeah,
they think it's going to be the Big 12 champion and the ACC champion, and that's it. Yeah, that's probably what most people think.
Yeah,
which is a possibility, very decent possibility of that happening.
You get into this weird situation now too, where Notre Dame is eating up a spot. They're eating up an extra spot where that ordinarily like they should have to fight for it, but Notre Dame's not in a conference, so they don't have to play a conference championship game. They don't have to deal with any of that, and they're not a G5, so that you can't like.
Yeah, so they don't take away that spot either.
They don't take away the G5 spot. Like I mean, it's pretty dumb. And that's why Notre Dame is never going to join a conference. They're not going to, because right now, if Notre Dame goes 11-1 in any season, Notre Dame's in. And that's just what it is. And they can play, even if they play a baby shit soft schedule, they're just in. If they're 10-2, 11-1, they're going to be in because they're Notre Dame. And and the playoff is a TV product and Notre Dame gets eyeballs. So that sucks because now it's, the conference champions get in, and maybe another team 2 or maybe even 3 for the Big 10 and the SEC. And then also Notre Dame gets a guaranteed spot unless they suck. And the G5 gets a spot no matter what. So I don't know. The Notre Dame thing is becoming more and more annoying by the year because they keep getting more and more things that benefit them not being in a conference, which sucks.
Right. Yeah, it's that, and we just talked about it, like the SEC playing 8 conference games instead of 9.
Because right now Iowa State plays 10 Power 4 teams of school.
Right.
10 Power 4 teams.
I'm just saying that extra conference game probably eliminates another team.
Oh, easy. Yeah. No question.
You take like the teams that are like, on to the Tennessees, the Alabamas, maybe Georgia's kind of sitting there too. Like Texas, all those teams lose that extra conference game.
Yeah.
You know, if Alabama loses that game, whoever they have to play in that extra conference game,
Yeah,
then
they're
just out.
Yeah.
But now they don't have that one. They don't have the extra game where half of the teams in the conference have to lose because half your teams have to play the other half of the teams.
Right.
So they don't have that extra game. They don't have an entire extra loss on half of the whatever records for the conference. And now you have this, well, you know, the SEC champions obviously in, but man, like Georgia's good, Alabama's good, Tennessee's good.
Ole Miss is good.
Ole Miss is good. Like, you know what? Just put all the conference champions and then the SEC in a playoff. We'll just do that, I guess.
That's what that's what in Greg Sankey's ideal world, that's what it would be. It'd be I think if it was his choice, I think he would have 5 Big Ten teams, 5 SEC teams, and then 2 at-larges. I honestly believe that that's what his ideal world is. I don't think he cares to have auto bids for the ACC and the Big 12. I don't think he wants that. And I think it didn't start with Greg Sankey, but I think right now Greg Sankey is the arch villain of college football right now. I think everything that he wants for the SEC is objectively terrible for the rest of the sport. And I think he doesn't give a shit. And
I'm not bought in on the SEC stuff, man. Like
even if you don't, what sucks is that even if you don't buy in that the teams are that great, or whatever, which, you know, I'm probably closer into your camp where I'm like, I don't think they're all as good as people say they are, just because they're all, you know, whatever. 6-1. They're all 6-1 against their, well, and was it Georgia's already done playing SEC games? Like, it's something stupid.
But like the one thing that I look at for the season too, I mean, you see it all over. Like in the regular season, they don't perform necessarily like really well against other Power 4 conferences. Like
no, the SEC doesn't go undefeated against other Power 4 conferences in non-conference. No,
and that's what people act like. And then, like you look at the Oklahoma State is what? Are they still dead last in the Big 12?
They're pretty close to the bottom if they're not at the bottom.
I mean, if they're not dead last, they're pretty close.
They're damn close, yeah.
Let's see.
Let's see here. Currently, yeah, they're at the bottom. Yeah, because they're 0-7 in conference. Yep.
Yeah.
Utah's 1-6.
0-7 in the weakest conference in football.
Mm-hmm.
They beat Arkansas. Arkansas sucks, but Arkansas beat Tennessee. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, you know, I know that's like comparing like people. You say, like, oh, you can't.
Yeah, it's
but
early
like you
season
can
and matchups and all that. But
yeah.
still, like the worst team in the Big 12, maybe not even close. Like clearly the worst team in the Big 12.
Yeah,
beat an SEC team that beat Tennessee.
Right.
So like, I don't know. Something's got to. At some point, something's got to matter. At some point, the results have to matter.
Yeah, but like Notre Dame losing to NIU at home, like,
yeah, that doesn't matter. I guess it seems silly.
I would argue that that's worse than losing to Kansas on the road. I would argue
not even close. Like, I mean, that's not even arguable.
So like, it's just crazy the amount of like that shit that goes on.
Well, and the thing is that yes, you know, Big Ten kind of run things right now, and they have a very powerful mouthpiece. Both of them do in the front of ESPN and Fox, and they kind of get what they want.
NIU's at the bottom of the MAC, by the way.
Oh yeah.
They're not like
Northern Illinois is not just a MAC team. It's a bad MAC team.
Yeah,
they're a bad MAC team. So I don't know. Everything's fucked up, and it's just unfortunately we have to just strap ourselves into this dumbest roller coaster in history and just figure it out, I guess.
Yeah, but like first I was getting all worked up about us losing.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was like, oh, we lost again. Doesn't matter. Well, now it kind of matters again. And now I'm getting worked up again because I've got to have Kansas beat Colorado somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, fuck.
Well, if Kansas doesn't beat them, your only other hope is Oklahoma State has to beat Colorado. So
that is not going to happen.
I feel like that's not going to happen. That's not going to work out.
Holy smokes!
And then Arizona is not going to beat Arizona State next week. Just not going to happen.
No.
And Houston is not going to beat BYU next week.
Well,
Houston is surprisingly dangerous.
They're getting better.
Yeah, they're weird. They're weird and solid enough where maybe in a weird world they could pick off BYU.
But it's away, so
it's at BYU, so that would be a long shot for them to pull that off. But yeah, you're right. So it's like
BYU should have lost to Utah. That was kind of bullshit. But
I didn't actually end up catching the end of that game. But
it was wild. It was actually wild.
Yeah. Like I saw some clips of it, but I didn't get to see it live. Yeah, you're right though. Is like after you lose to Kansas, you lose your second in a row, and you're like, well, fuck it. Now we can just check out kind of and just watch the games and for what they are.
Enjoy the football.
Just watch the games for what they are. But then now we're still drugged back into this thing. It's like, well, shit. Now we have to pay attention
because everybody started losing at the same time.
Everybody lost a game at the same time.
Everybody's like, fuck it, we'll all just lose.
Fuck it, we'll all lose. So it's just, I don't know. I can't believe I can't believe we're in this timeline where Iowa State just probably has pretty solid odds of finishing 10-2, and we're all gonna be like, well, fuck, that sucks.
Yeah, I mean they would be favorites to finish 10-2.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's weird. I mean, I haven't been a fan for that many years, but like I guess every year I have been a fan, nothing really crazy's happened. It's just been like, we're okay, or we fucking suck, or
But who knows? Maybe we're back here next Wednesday, and Kansas pulled off the upset. Arizona State pulls off the upset. Actually, Arizona State's favored, so it's not even an upset. But maybe Arizona wins, and maybe Kansas pulls off the upset, and we win this weekend. And all of a sudden, next Wednesday, we're back here saying, "Okay, win and you're in." And now we're stressing out again.
The thing about this comment is,
from Fred here.
If we win out, we're not necessarily in. I don't know if you.
Yeah, technically speaking, you're not necessarily in.
You're not in, actually. If every favorite wins from here on out, you're not in. Like, you're not in the championship game.
No. So what he's saying is, so if Iowa State wins out, then wins the conference championship game, then doesn't get into the playoffs. That I don't really see a scenario. That's not going to happen.
I don't think that can happen, right? I mean, I think it's in the rules.
It technically can.
They would have to have like.
You'd have to like some weird stuff would have to happen. Like you'd have to have 2 G5 champions, like 2 different G5 conference champions ranked ahead of Iowa State.
Which won't happen because they've already put us back at 22, right?
Yeah, they're back at 22. You win the next couple, you're probably 14 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like
then you win the championship. You're
in. Yeah, you're in at 11-2. So it's. I don't think that's a concern at all as far as like what happens if you do get in and you win the conference. I don't think there's a scenario where Iowa State gets left out.
But I don't think there's a way.
Now, is there a scenario
outside of that?
No, definitely not. No. Now, is there a scenario where all that happens and you do win the conference championship game, and you get stuck behind Boise State? That's possible. They may just keep Boise State up high enough where you don't get that first round bye. It might happen.
That could. I mean, their only losses to Oregon,
could
right?
Happen.
3-point loss to Oregon's their only loss.
Yeah,
it's also their best win.
Mm-hmm. It absolutely is. Yeah, 3-point loss to Oregon is better than any win they have on their schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is certainly a possibility where you still get left behind. You still get left behind Boise State as far as the seeding goes, but I really don't see a scenario where Iowa State just gets. But
that wouldn't put us to 12, right? It would just put us to.
It'd put you to
5.
5. Yeah, it'd put you to 5.
5's not a bad spot.
No, 5's not a bad spot at all.
5's a pretty good spot.
If you can't have a bye, 5's not a bad spot.
Yeah, you play the 12, then you play the 4 after that. I mean,
and so at that point, you're probably playing the 12. You might be playing Ole Miss at home.
Yeah, that or
Now,
maybe
not gonna lie,
Notre Dame
hosting Ole Miss at home for a playoff game, that would kick ass.
And then the winner that would play Boise State, right?
That would terrify me.
I'm,
Our defense defending Ashton Genty would be not great.
No, but I'd rather play Boise State than.
I'd rather play Boise State than Oregon.
Yeah,
but the idea of watching Ashton Genty go for 2 bills against us is not my favorite.
Yeah, but like at least he didn't just like run all over. He went for 2 bills against everybody else.
Yeah, yeah. And like at a certain point, you'd be like, well, that's Ashton Genty just did Ashton Genty things, and it just is what it is. But
I've had a lot of people trying to like talk him down recently.
No, that kid's a monster.
And I'm like, dude, he's like, oh yeah, imagine what an SEC running back would do on that schedule.
Army's not getting into the playoff.
It's like, first of all, let's look at this here. It's not only just impressive at a surface level what he's doing. Watch what the defenses are doing and what he's still doing. Yeah. 9 guys in the box, like, and he's going for 180 every week.
He's doing what Troy Davis did back in the 90s.
Yeah,
except for Boise State's a good team.
He's
getting 30, 35 carries a game.
I think he should win the Heisman. I don't even think it should be close.
Well, Travis Hunter's been really, really good. He's
not the best receiver or the best corner. He's in
the conversation for both. But the fact that he's had 3 games this season where he's caught a touchdown and picked off a pass.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
The amount of snaps is impressive. Yes. Yeah.
To me, it's got to be Ashton Genty or Travis Hunter, and then I don't really care who you put after.
I don't even know who else they would.
Probably. I think I've seen. You know what? Let's look this up. Let's see.
I can't even think of anybody else who is in.
I know Carson Beck was in it for a while.
Well, no, not now.
Not now.
He's thrown like 2 touchdowns.
Okay, so after week 2, here, let me see. I'll pull this up.
He had a good game last week though, but when you go on a stretch with 2 touchdowns and 10 picks, that kind of eliminates you.
Yeah. Okay, so this is USA Today. So they've got Travis Hunter at 1, Ashton Genty at 2, and then
Cam Ward.
And then drops all the way down to Cam Ward, who's not even really in the conversation at this point.
Yeah, but
Dylan Gabriel, I've seen him before. Yeah,
I agree. I agree with that order. Cam Ward is probably the next closest.
Curtis Rourke or Jalen Milroe. Curtis Rourke would be my pick over Jalen Milroe. Curtis Rourke's had a really good season. He's the reason Indiana's undefeated at this point. To me though, it's like not even close. It's one of these.
You can see it in the odds.
Yeah, it's one of those two, and then.
Well, they're saying that is saying that the race between Travis Hunter and Genty really isn't that close.
Yeah, it's Travis Hunter and then everybody else right now, which honestly, kind of fair enough. He'd be the leading receiver on most teams. 74 receptions for 911 and 9 touchdowns, and he has a rushing touchdown, and he's also got 3 picks on the season. Yeah. He's a generational player. The term generational gets thrown around too much now, but like he is a generational player.
It is, but it's also like if he didn't play both sides of the ball, we wouldn't talk about him ever.
No. And that's correct. Like
the only time you would talk about him is when you were playing against him. You know what I mean? This is their best receiver.
Yeah. Like he's not the best receiver in college football. He's not the best corner in college football, but he is a probably top 15 to top 10 player at both positions, which is that's the crazy part.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you talk about like in the 2017 season with Joel Lanning, how like he probably should have been the winner of the I can't remember what that trophy is, the most versatile player or whatever. Yeah. Now Saquon Barkley got it because he returns kicks too, I guess. I guess that's being versatile. But it's kind of one of those things where like, was Joel Lanning the best linebacker in America? No.
He's All-American.
He was good. He was a great player, no doubt about it. But he wasn't like winning the Gursky Award or anything like that. But he did that while also being, essentially a wildcat running back a lot, and then threw a few passes.
Yeah, Travis Hunter's like obviously a great player.
Yeah,
and no one is going to discount that. It's just like it's unprecedented. It's unprecedented to like compare a guy playing both sides of the ball, not just like in certain packages, but like for most of the game.
Doing it. Yeah.
that doesn't happen enough to like compare it to one of the best running backs in the last 10 years, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
well, and you look at like the last defensive player to win it was Charles Woodson back in the early 90s. And so defensively, you kind of have to compare him to him just a little bit. But then offensively, I don't know if he's in the Biletnikoff conversation offensively or not, but the fact that he probably deserves it. I mean, Colorado's a good team. If Colorado was a 6-win football team or a 5-win football team or something like that, I don't know if he would get the recognition he's probably deserves, but
I think that's another reason that he's getting it as much as he is because they probably are a 6 or 7 win football team without him.
Without him, I think they're
500-ish.
What's interesting is actually that Shadur Sanders is probably more important to that team.
Well, yeah, I mean he's quarterback. Like
like they could lose Travis Hunter for a game and probably still win. They've still got J.C. Horn's kid.
Yeah,
they still got him. They still got some good players, but
yeah, it would just be scarier to play without.
It would be a lot scarier. Yeah. So I'm glad that it's not going to be a quarterback award this year. There's no way a quarterback wins it this year. And I'm very happy to, one, if a quarterback does win it, it's very clearly rigged towards quarterback. And we might as well just rename it the quarterback award.
Yeah.
Like,
you have one of those.
You have two very obvious candidates that are not quarterbacks that are clearly better than any of the quarterbacks in the country.
Right.
If you don't give it to one of them, then you're just transparently saying it's just a quarterback award now.
The versatile, whatever that versatile award is called.
Yeah.
That's got to go. Dude, that Penn State kid's pretty good. The tight end.
I mean, it's got to be.
Watched him.
I mean, but it has to go.
He's like plays quarterback.
It has to go to.
Does everything.
I mean, it has to go to Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
Though. I mean, but yeah, no, the Penn State kid's pretty good. I think it's interesting and actually probably good for the sport in general that we're seeing actually in sports in general that we're starting to see more of those two-way guys. Like before Travis Hunter, I couldn't tell you the last legit two-way football player that played at a high level on both sides. I don't.
Yeah, not like that.
Tell you, not like that. No.
And then you get Ndamukong Suh played both sides, but it was just like
he was like an H-back, like a goal line fullback type of thing.
Yeah, like they do that all the time.
I mean, it was like when like in the
straight
NFL,
up, like every down and distance, both sides is
It's not like JJ Watt getting lined up at the goal line as a tight end a couple times or something like that. Right. I mean, he's legit both ways, and then like. So you see guys like him, and like in baseball, you got Shohei Ohtani, who's maybe the best hitter and pitcher in baseball. Right. It's to see guys like that having success, not just individually, but then team success too. I think is good in general for sports because I think we got to and this is a larger, maybe more interesting conversation for as a standalone, like an off-season pod. But obviously sports are super specialized now, where kids just like. I know when I grew up, I played 4 sports. I mean, I wasn't good at any of them, but I played 4 sports. Well, I'm an all right golfer, but I played 4 sports growing up, and plus in high school, I ran cross country, played basketball, and I golfed. And then growing up, I also wrestled and I played baseball or whatever. So I mean, I played 5 sports growing up, and I'm sure you played a bunch too.
Yeah,
so you were in one every single season. You see that less and less now, where kids are just. They're just playing baseball year round, or they're
getting like personal trainers at like 8 years old.
Yeah, they're like especially
pitching coach.
Baseball is crazy too, where they're playing travel ball like year round.
I did that, but I mean, I still played like all the other sports. But now, what you're saying is true. Like now, it's like, oh, my kid is a baseball player, and he's got like a personal coach, and he's like 10.
Yeah, and they're getting they're going to like pitching coaches at like 11 years old and shit like that. Like the specialization in youth sports and just in general in sports is just outrageous now. Where I mean,
my hot take on that is that makes you less of an athlete.
I don't really think that's a hot take at all.
I think like growing up playing as many sports as you can, it will make you a better athlete down the road.
Make you a more well-rounded athlete for sure, skill wise and physically. Because
that's how you get like saying you're a football player playing football your entire life every single day. That's how you get those guys that like can't bend or move, and they just like, man, he might be a hell of a linebacker, but holy shit, he can't fucking hit a golf ball or shoot a basketball, dribble a basketball.
Well, that's why like you like to see like when they go, for football when they go grab offensive linemen that are playing in basketball or something like that, where they can move around a little bit, or they're running track or something.
Well, look at us getting off topic when Matthias isn't even here.
What is on topic?
Yeah, I mean, there's just,
but
there's just not a whole lot of excitement.
I know it's one of those like right now. It was fun a few weeks ago to start like, okay, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens?
Yeah, and then everybody lost,
and then everybody keeps losing, and now the path it's really funny because the path has always been clear this whole time for Iowa State is win out, and you can go to the Big 12 title game. Win out. Now it's win out and you need some other help, but in the end, it's still you got to win out, and
it's still it's a non-zero chance. Yeah, at least.
There's definitely it's. I mean, there's a definitely reasonable shot that Colorado loses this weekend. That can happen.
You better hope they do because they are not losing to Oklahoma State.
They're not losing to Oklahoma State. Yeah. So I don't know. It's been a strange thing because even now the conversation is still win out. It's not, oh, who can you afford to lose to or this. It's you need to win out. And that's always what it's been for the last, for this whole season basically is win out and you don't got to worry about anything.
Yeah, we could have just not lost those 2 games and it'd be like, fuck, I think we can lose these last 2 and still make it.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're 10-0 at this point, we're not even stressing because Iowa State's probably darn near locked into the thing.
Yeah.
So it is what it is now. I get that. Maybe that's just the vibe is it is what it is. We're going to do what we can and it just is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, man, it's like, I feel bad for like everyone involved just because such a good opportunity. Like the schedule was set up perfectly. Everything was pretty much aligned good. And then the injury bug was just so much. And
and it's leaked onto the offense now too. I mean, Dylan Berry came back last game, which was good, but Ben Bramer's out. Tyler Moore was sitting in a cast on the sideline. Cooper Alexander's out. And fortunately, Gabe Burkle had a nice game. Gabe Burkle had a nice game. And Steve-O Klotz apparently has wheels, so that's something.
Listen, us big tight ends can move a little bit now.
If you'd had to tell me to pick the 50 fastest player on the football team, though, I don't think I would have put Steve-O Klotz in the top 50 though.
You gotta watch out, man. Big and fast.
Kid can run.
If you would have came in locker room 2020 and said, "Give me the fastest 20 guys," I would have been in there for sure.
You think so?
Oh, for sure.
Trying to think on the 2020 team.
I'm not saying top 5, but like
right. I mean, so all the running backs.
Well, what's funny about that is there was a game. I think it was the fucking UL game. Because I think didn't they return a kickoff and a punt? I think they did.
That sounds right.
And I was chasing down the punt returner. And like the guy's like the fastest guy on the field, like a 4.3 guy. And I'm like closing the gap on him. And then, we wear those like little GPS things.
Yep.
And this was like Dave Andrews coming in and talking. He was like, it was like he had trained me since I was 5. It was like all about him. He's like, well, I just want you guys to know that the fastest speed recorded on Saturday was also one of our heaviest guys on the team. I had the fastest speed recorded on the GPS that day. It's like
I don't know if that's good or not, but
it was something like because like it's hard to actually like it's a little skewed because not everyone gets the opportunity to just unleash it like that.
Right. Yeah, just to get to open it up.
Yeah, like and if you have the ball, then that's a whole different story. Like if you're running like I think it was like 22 miles an hour. If you're running 22 miles an hour with a ball, that's
just cooking, yeah.
Yeah, that is just like unhumanly almost, but like
I'm curious to see like what Tavon Austin would have done in his heyday if they were tracking it then.
Yeah. But like that's why when I see like the NFL numbers, like Tyreek Hill ran like 21.8 miles per hour as a ball carrier. As a ball carrier.
That's so fast.
And I'm like, dude, I was literally unhooked, nothing on me, and actually chasing a guy, which just makes you faster. Also makes you faster chasing someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Interesting. I'd be curious. Yeah, so I would try to think if I like on that 2020 team, just in a dead foot race, wide open foot race.
Um,
I mean, Kane is probably one, I imagine.
Kane's one.
Trying to think. Darren Porter would have been on that team.
Yeah. He's up there.
Trying to think. I'm trying to think who's else on that.
X pretty fast.
Yeah, oh yeah, Xavier Hutchinson. Yeah, for sure.
And Brees is pretty fast too. He doesn't look fast.
Brees can open it up.
Yeah, he doesn't look fast. It's like so
he
smooth.
Just takes massive strides, and he's such a smooth runner. Yeah. I mean, trying to think who is even else. Was Sheldon Croney on that team still?
I don't think so.
I think he was 2019 was his last year. Trying to think who else. Johnny Lang on that team?
No.
Johnny Lang wasn't on that team. 2020.
I think 2019 was his last year too.
Because he was there. Was he only there?
He didn't graduate 2019.
No. He transferred. Well, damn it! Now I'm going to find this out. I'm curious. So we've got. Okay, so I'm just going through the list here. So
we still had Joe Skates, I think, too.
Oh yeah, Joe Skates. Man, what unrealized potential that guy was.
He did good at Memphis.
He did. He had a good. Oh, Tariq Milton was on that team. Tariq was.
Yeah, he's fast too.
Yeah, Tariq was quick. Let's see, Kane. Oh, let's see.
Telling you, I'm in the top 20.
X, Joe Skates, Darren Porter.
When you're talking like 50 guys, the top 20 is not that impressive, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
And half of those 50 guys are fat guys.
All right. Darren Wilson was pretty quick, wasn't he?
Yeah, no, he was fast too. You don't want to look at the
TJ Tampa.
You don't want to look at the 2020 roster because you'll be disappointed that we didn't win the Natty.
Oh, I mean, I still am. This is a nightmare.
Like at the time, like we knew we had good players, but it was like,
right.
We didn't know. I mean, we knew, but like, we didn't know. Like, we had like 8 guys that were all going to be like the best player at their position on their team in the NFL.
Yeah, and because then gosh, and yet, I mean, even like Jake Hummel on that team, like he kind of gets lost in the shuffle, but Jake Hummel was so good.
Yeah,
I mean, he's LB1.
He's still good now.
Oh yeah, he's still playing regular snaps for the Rams. Like he's LB1 on 99% of teams. Just he happened to be on the same team with Mike Rose.
Yeah.
Gosh, there are so many good. Even J.R. Singleton was a freshman on that team. Gosh, there's a lot of good names on this team.
Yeah.
Fuck me. Landon Akers.
Yeah. I mean, we literally had like a pseudo NFL. If you take out the offensive line, we had like, because we didn't have one NFL offensive lineman on the team.
Julian Good-Jones went to a camp.
Oh, no, he's on the Commanders right now. But yeah.
Julian Good-Jones?
Yeah.
On the practice squad?
Nice. I think he's bounced like back and forth. I don't know.
Yeah, he was because he was in the CFL a little bit too, I think, wasn't he?
Yeah, but at one time somebody like got him off of a practice squad, and when you sign someone off a practice squad, you have to put them on the active roster for 3 weeks. So like,
yep.
I haven't talked to him in a while, but
Steve O'Clock, freshman on the 2020 team. Good for him.
Yeah, he came. He wasn't really around though. I remember.
Wasn't.
Yeah, because like the COVID thing was like weird. Like they had red shirts like not like come to anything basically.
Yeah, Sarah's in the chat here. Yeah, so women's basketball just dropped a game at UNI. So
yeah, it's rough.
That's tough.
It's basketball though. It doesn't really matter. No, not that basketball doesn't matter, but the fact that like losing a game in basketball doesn't really matter at this point in the year.
Yeah, it's not really that big a deal. You still would like to not lose those, but
right.
Gosh, there's a lot of good. Yeah,
I guess what I mean by that is like
Anthony Johnson's pretty good.
Losing a football game to UNI early in the year is a lot more detrimental to your season than losing a basketball game.
Any football game, any one football game, no matter who you're playing, is way more important than any single basketball game could be.
Right.
I mean, once you get into Big 12 to play and you're playing like a number 3 team, like losing doesn't hurt, but winning helps you quite a lot. But Yeah, I don't know. That's always the interesting thing with football too, and that's why I think like it takes longer for me to get engaged with basketball. I mean, like I'm obviously a big Iowa State basketball fan, but I've got two basketballs sitting right there that were signed by teams. But football is like you get engaged immediately and like the whole season because every game
Yeah,
is
every single
critical.
game matters.
Critical. Yeah.
Basketball is getting more like, I mean, it's kind of like the NBA is, right? Like, you get to the tournament and see what happens.
Well, and it's funny because the way the Big 12 conference is now in basketball is that it's so good that like if you're at 500 in conference play in the Big 12, you're making the tournament. No question about it. Like you are it's basically
we do kind of get the SEC bias. We get it back
the
a little
Big
bit.
12 the Big 12 basketball right now is better as a conference than SEC football has been maybe ever.
Yeah, I guess like it's sort of a similar deal where like our programs get more like weight, I guess, behind their name when it comes to
they get the benefit of the doubt.
They do, but also they prove it. Like,
oh yeah, big time. Yeah. Yeah, and we're going to see next week too because Iowa State plays Auburn in the first game in Maui.
Who's probably the best SEC team preseason?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're one of the best. They're a top 5 team in college basketball. They're very, very good. If Iowa State can hang with them, keep it close, or maybe beat them, that is a very good sign going forward. Because Iowa State, you got to remember that Iowa State, like Auburn, is a veteran basketball team.
We're real young, right? I mean,
we haven't experienced for. I mean, we've got it's a mix. Taman and Keyshawn are old.
Yeah,
they've been around for a while. Curtis Jones has been around for a long time. But then you've got, just like in basketball, with any team really, but Iowa State's got a ton of transfers in the rotation that they're trying to get rotations figured out and stuff like that too. So they're not necessarily young, but they are like, they just haven't played with each other a lot. So they just don't have there's not a lot of rapport necessarily there with the team just yet. They're a fraction of, as good a team as they're going to be in January and February and March.
Arkansas is supposed to be pretty good.
Arkansas should be good. Yeah.
Well, they got Calipari and he just like brought the whole Kentucky team and then brought like every top 10 recruit in the country.
What's funny? Now you talk about recruiting, because Iowa State because their 2025 recruiting class for Iowa State is sitting at 8th in the country right now. They pulled in a top 10 recruiting class, and nobody cares.
Yeah,
like I mean, like it's good to have that, but just with the way the transfer portal is right now, like nobody cares about recruiting anymore, because there's a good chance that I think they got 4 guys in this class. There's a good chance that at least 3 of them do not finish a career here. Right. I mean, and maybe all 4 of them will not, they won't be here in 4 years. So it's difficult to care a lot. Football is a little bit better because football players tend to stick around, especially in Matt Campbell's program. They tend to stick around. But
yeah, most of the time, if you leave Matt Campbell's program, it's an issue.
Problem. It's a you problem. Yeah. It's not an Iowa State problem. It's a you problem. But like I was, like the quarterback commit for this class is Alex Mansky, and he is a high 3-star, and actually on 3 just moved Alex Mansky up to the 42nd best recruit in the country. I think the 2nd overall QB or something like that.
He's from Iowa, right?
Yeah, he's from a small school in Iowa. And which is interesting because he had Tommy John surgery last year. So he's not playing next year,
right?
No matter what, even if Rocco is not here or hurt or whatever, for whatever reason. But Mansky is not. Mansky is up to the 42nd best recruit, and on 3, he's one of the best recruits Iowa State's ever had, based on that, on that recruiting service or whatever. And I mean, that's good. I hope he stays here, and I hope he's as good as they think he's going to be.
It's hard to tell, man. It's so hard.
It's hard to tell because,
it's just as hard as like high school talent to how it's going to transfer to college.
Really,
it's just as hard from college to the NFL. Like how many great players in college, like just kind of didn't really. Yeah.
And there's lots of guys in college that just maybe didn't get the opportunities they deserved or whatever. There's a number of factors where maybe they just didn't shine super bright in college, but then they get to the pros and they're awesome.
Yeah.
not that he wasn't good in college, but Jake Hummels is a great example. He's a regular rotation player for the Rams right now, and he got a little bit overshadowed by Mike Rose, and he played, for Iowa State in the Big 12 or whatever, which doesn't get as much publicity nationally. So he wasn't talked about as a guy that's got going to be a 10-year pro at linebacker, but he's probably going to be whatever.
I mean,
Just like
Brock's a good example because
Brock's
although he was
example.
good in college, a lot of people have no idea who the fuck he is when he first started.
That's exactly right.
And it's almost like he came in with way less expectations than your first top 10 picks that are quarterbacks, and then you always see the top 10 picks that are quarterbacks become Daniel Jones, and then Brock's playing well. So it's just weird how that always works out. But
yeah, so yeah, it'd be interesting. I don't know. As far as this weekend goes, though, what are you thinking? What's your feel on it?
Yeah, I mean, just the matchup. Good football team. If they had their quarterback, honestly, probably a pretty scary game, to be honest. Especially with the kind of the state of our team at the moment. But
right,
I mean, you look at they had BYU beat. I mean, it was an officiating fiasco is the reason they lose to BYU. But with the way we talked about it earlier when we first started, at least it's a good matchup for us to have a really good defense and a really shitty offense. That fits us pretty good.
We tend to play those teams pretty well.
Yeah, we've got enough. We have the weapons and we have the I think we have the play calling or the scheme to be able to score enough points. And if their typical offense shows up and they just can't score, then there we go.
There you go. Yeah.
And they just can't score, then I don't think that 14 points might be enough. 14, 17 points might be enough.
Yeah.
So,
and their quarterback that's starting this weekend, Isaac Wilson, not Luke. Isaac Wilson. He's 10 touchdowns, 11 picks on the year. So he turns the ball. He will give you the football.
Right.
If you give him the opportunity to. So if this is one where Iowa State can get out to a good start and make Utah throw the ball to get to keep up, that's a great sign. Now, I would imagine Iowa State is going to try to run the football, just try to keep the defense as fresh as it can. That said, running the football against this Utah team is probably getting super run heavy is probably not the recipe of this game.
Right.
Without how good that is. I mean, certainly
but
if
we can.
If you can run, you still want to try. But
that's what I love about Mouse, right? We used to do that in the past. When I played, that's what we did. We would oh, the run's not working. Well, we better keep fucking running it until it works. And you kind of you beat yourself that way.
Yeah.
Mouse has done a really good job. Run game's not working. Let's air it out a little bit.
Yeah. So, getting stubborn with the run is how you get, end up as a tight ends coach on the Colts. But
chill. Tom's my dude.
I'm not saying anything about it. I'm just saying, if he was world beaten, and maybe he's still here. I don't know.
I mean, in his defense, we probably should have been able to run the ball against anybody with David Montgomery and Breece Hall.
Yeah. But we have seen this team get overly stubborn about establishing the run in the past.
Yeah, and honestly, that's a Matt Campbell mindset too. He's definitely guilty of that. That's his. Yeah, he wants to run the ball.
Yeah, it's the hard part is that anytime is that getting overly stubborn about the run is going to be a fear for Iowa State fans forever because of that Ohio game last year. Exclusively because of the Ohio game in 2023, Iowa State fans will always be scared of getting overly stubborn with the run.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you just get, I've never been a coach at that level, but I guess you just get lost in the sauce Like it's a lot easier to see it from the outside in.
Sure, absolutely.
When you're like looking at the team, you're like, oh well, like Ohio, for example, like look at our guys and look at their guys.
Yeah, we should be able to blast them. Yeah.
We should just be able to run whenever, wherever we want.
Mhm.
And you just get a little bit lost. So you forget, like, oh, well, take a step back, look at their guys and look at our guys. We can just run right by them and throw it over their head.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, judging by the matchup, I think it's probably a little low scoring. And I think it really comes down to us not making mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think if we don't turn the ball over and have like stupid penalties, and it probably wouldn't be very close.
Yeah.
I'm not going to promise that we won't do that because who knows? But,
shit happens.
Yeah, I'm going to say like I believe we'll score 24-7.
24-7.
Yeah, let's score.
So we're gonna go out there and blow them out.
I mean, that's not a blowout, but like, yeah, I don't.
24-7 is kind of a blowout. Depends on how it happens, but
it just shouldn't be close. I don't think. Like, I think we should be able to find enough explosive plays to get in the end zone a couple times, and I don't think that they should be able to cross the 50-yard line.
Feels ambitious, but they do have a competent running back. He's not great, but he's competent. He's averaging just a shade over 5 yards a carry, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing is like we're not really in a position where like, oh, we better go like convincingly win these last two games because it doesn't matter.
Just win.
Yeah. Like there are some positions where some teams like maybe have to do that, but like in our situation, we're not. If we were a bubble team that was like, man, we can get in without the conference championship win, then you want to win. Then you want to convincingly win, but like we're not getting in without the conference title. So just win the game.
I'm not sure if I'm quite confident in our defense yet to button somebody down to 7 points. They did a good job with Cincinnati, who's a better offensive team than Utah. I mean, actually, Cincinnati is a pretty solid offensive team, and they have a running quarterback that is obviously very capable of doing damage in the run game.
And they play against our defense.
And they play against our defense all the time.
Yeah.
And have a defensive coordinator that was literally here last year.
Right.
Utah does not have any of that. Obviously, they don't have the same personnel on offense right now that Cincinnati does. But I'm not there yet. I mean, if Will McLaughlin and Jack Sadowski come out to play this week and play really well, and play pretty solid games coming back, then my estimation of the defense will probably go up fairly quickly. But right now we just got to see. Give me like 20-14, something like that. Like maybe a game where it's 20-7 for a long time, and then Utah gets a touchdown with a couple minutes left or something like that, and then we get it, just kind of milk the game out type of thing. I mean, I think we're gonna win. I'm not confident about getting too crazy over the spread just because Utah's defense is really good. And right now we're just in win it and get the hell out of there mode, which typically in those type of situations, Matt Campbell does not run up the score.
I just don't like. I think we just need 21 points, 3 touchdowns. I think it's all we need.
3 touchdowns. I think 21 points gets you a win. I don't
like they haven't post Cam Rising. They've scored over 20 points one time.
Who's that against?
Where'd it go? Colorado, but it was trash points. It was 49 to
garbage
whatever.
Time points against kind of a bad defense.
Yeah. And then BYU was 22-21 and this similar. They scored right at the end of the game. So like
right.
You're looking at 7 points, 14 points, 19 points, 10 points. And these are against pretty bad football teams. Like 22 points against Oklahoma State.
Not great.
Oklahoma State has one of the worst defenses in college football.
They're just bad all around. They're bad.
Yeah, but their defense is really bad.
Yeah. Give me 2014. I'm perfectly happy to see us win by more than that, but I don't know. This is the type of game where I feel like if they have some success running the ball, they're going to be perfectly happy to sit there and just try to grind out 8, 9, 10-minute drives and keep the defense off the field as much as they can, which that means low scoring. And I think Utah wants to keep possessions down too, because I know that
Because they know if we score 21 points, they're cooked.
Yeah, they know that their offense cannot hang.
Yeah.
So that they're going to keep possessions low. This is the situation where Matt Campbell typically likes to keep possessions low.
To be an Iowa game.
Yeah, it's gonna be an Iowa game. Yep, that's exactly right. So 20-14, good guys. That's my prediction.
See Fred there, pick six. If we get a pick six, the game's over.
Oh yeah, if we get a pick six, it is 100% over. Game's over. I don't know. We'll see. Bo Freeler's not really a pick six guy. Malik Verdon's got one hand. Jeremiah Cooper has been kind of on a milk carton a lot of this year. He's been fine, but not the Jeremiah Cooper we saw last year.
How about a defensive lineman pick six?
Ooh, big fat man pick six.
Yeah,
I want to see Darian Porter jump a screen pass. And
speaking of, dude, did you see that? Did you watch the Cowboys Texans game?
Mm-mm.
So they throw the ball, it gets batted.
Mm-hmm.
The offensive lineman catches the ball and he starts running with it, and then he gets hit sticked and fumbles the ball. And then the defensive lineman picks it up and jumps over a guy and takes it.
Shit.
It was crazy.
Oh, man.
That guy touchdowns.
Yeah. All righty.
Porter pick six, I'm down.
Yeah, pick six. If it's a pick six, it is. Unless something's going very wrong, a pick six basically puts it in the book for Iowa State.
I think any non-offensive touchdown probably does.
I would agree, especially if it's a defensive one where you can take away a possession. Yeah, absolutely. We'll see. The special teams has been doing a little bit more recently. Maybe you can get something. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Jalen Jackson can put together a big return.
Maybe we'll try to return a punt for the first time in a decade.
Jalen Noel had a nice one last week. 25 yards, something like that. We
usually just don't. We're usually we're good.
He's been returning them more this year. If Jalen Noel gets a block and gets a chance to move it, he's very dangerous on punt returns.
Yeah.
But he just doesn't get a lot of chances necessarily. Higgins will be an interesting one to watch because he's been banged up a little bit. He's still playing, obviously, but he's not 100%. He's not running at 100% right now. So we'll see.
No, I think Mouse has a good plan. I think he's going to have a good plan. And
I don't know. We'll see how much weird shit we saw. Like last week, we saw that weird fucking pistol thing with Connor Moberly behind Aiden Flora. I'm not sure what that all was. Like, I realized
fake punt. I
realized Aiden Flora is getting. I realize Aiden Flora is getting carries because they don't want to burn Dylan Lee's they don't want to burn Dylan Lee's red shirt. I get it. That's fine. But Aiden Flora got 4 carries and he was on the field a bunch last week.
Fake punt was the biggest play of the game.
I'm kind of convinced. Was that the first fake punt that we've run under Matt Campbell?
Offensively. You don't understand how rare that is for him to do something like that.
That's what I'm saying. I literally cannot remember another one. I cannot think of one time we've ever run a fake punt. We've done that weird.
Oh, we had it in. We had it in every week.
I've no doubt
that same play, and it was me.
I have no doubt about it. But we've done weird shit before, with that weird little pooch kickoff thing in the Oregon game where Rory Walling picked it up, weird shit. We've done weird shit like that before, but actually just faking a punt, I genuinely cannot. I cannot think of one. Right now I'm prepared to say I think that was the first fake punt of the Campbell era. Especially one like that. Maybe there was one where a punter ran it or something like that, but we've never seen that one before. So we'll see. Maybe, a defensive or special teams touchdown here, though, I think just basically seals it for Iowa State. We'll see. Hopefully they can come back next week at 9-2.
Yeah, hopefully we just go up 21-0 and then it doesn't matter.
That would be great. I don't really see that happening, but that'd be great. Hopefully not giving up
it's about time. Have we done that to anyone in the conference? No, I don't think.
No. The best start we got off to was Kansas.
Yeah. Unironically.
We did do a fake field goal last year versus Cincinnati. But I almost think that's even a little bit different because that fake punt, fake punts are ordinarily Matt Campbell's a big, I'm okay with punting it away to get field position guy.
Fake punt, you're giving up field position if it
absolutely. If you
doesn't.
don't get it, yeah.
Yeah.
A fake field goal, you're already in
like
opponent's
missed field
territory.
goal.
Yeah, it's just a missed field goal at that point. A fake punt is you're giving up maybe the ball on your own side on your own side of the field type of thing, or whatever. So running like a fake punt is a much bigger jump and risk than a fake field goal. So I was surprised.
Yeah, I mean, we don't even go for it on 4th and 1 at the 50 a lot of the time.
No, we don't. I was glad to see that they ran that sneak though when they were up in the 4th quarter and had a chance, like, if you get this first down, this thing's over type of thing. And then they ran that sneak and they ran the tush push and got it, got a couple yards on it.
But maybe Matt Campbell didn't know that all these teams were losing and he was just like, fuck it. Fake punt. Doesn't matter anyway.
He did the Paul Rhodes Riverboat Gambler shit. And he's like, fuck it. It was like, what was it? Because it was like Paul Rhodes' last game as coach. We played at West Virginia. That dude was like onside kicking it. They were running double reverses and all sorts of dumb shit. Because he's like, fuck it, I don't care.
Yeah.
We suck. We're on the road. This is my last game ever. I
don't remember that season. Obviously, I was before, but
he was just emptying the playbook of all the weird shit they'd had.
Well, I heard that he basically lost his job because Mike Warren fumbled 3 times against.
That's exactly right. Yes,
was it Kansas State?
100%. We were up 20. We have 3 touchdowns. Up 3 touchdowns in the 4th quarter, I think. And Mike Warren fumbled it on 3 consecutive possessions.
That's rough.
And Kansas State scored on all of them.
Oh man,
horrible way to lose. And that game and that one, that is why Paul Rhodes lost his job. Yeah. I mean, he was already like headed down the road, and people thought maybe like even in 2014, like after the 2014 season, maybe he should have not come back. But he got one more season, obviously, and then that was the nail in the coffin. Yeah.
All right. Well, you got anything else?
I don't got anything else. Unfortunately, I don't have Matthias to make fun of here this week. So.
Oh, but we're gonna come back 9-2, and we're gonna get our 10-win season under our belt against the Wildcats.
Fuck yeah.
That'll be cool.
Beating Kansas State's always cool.
Yeah, but when it's for your 10th win, it's cooler.
It's even cooler, yeah. Would be even cooler if it was a win.
Your 12th win.
If it was a win, if it was a win and you're in to get 10 wins over Kansas State.
Well, that's a possibility.
It's absolutely a possibility. That'd be fun.
They're gonna play harder then.
Probably. Kansas State's a bunch of dickheads.
Yeah, but imagine it's a win and you're in and we don't win. How insufferable their fans are gonna be.
Oh, they'd be the worst. Yeah. Their fans are already the worst.
But they can't win in names anyways. Matt Campbell kind of owns them.
No, Matt Campbell does own Kansas State. I mean, because they won in 2017 and 2019, and they won.
The 2019 was wild.
2017 was bullshit.
2019 was like the reverse of the Mike Warren. We were down like 19 in the 4th quarter.
Well, in 2017 was the bullshit non-PIs on Allen Lazard.
Yeah, that was crazy. And then the false start on the touchdown play, it was all bullshit.
All dumb. 2017 and 2019, but then other than that, so they won 2016, 17, and 19, but other than that, I think Matt Campbell's got them.
Or was that 2018 when we came back down 19 in the 4th quarter?
That was when Mike Rose got that like weird fumble thing. Whatever. That was 18 because it was bullshit.
Yeah. So 17 and 19, and then
22. They won 22 because we were terrible in 22.
Yeah, but like you think about it, like 17 bullshit,
19 bullshit.
I mean, 19 we just kind of got our ass beat, but it was whatever.
Fair enough.
But like the times we beat them, we kind of embarrass the shit out of them.
Oh yeah. When we beat Kansas State, it is not. It's
like
not
2020 was fucking embarrassing for them.
Alliteration. Yeah.
It was like I don't even remember the final score, but it
was
like
2021 we destroyed them too. Brees House the opening touch.
Yeah, and then last year
the snow
wasn't. It felt like we destroyed them, but when I went back and look at the score,
you look back, you're like, we didn't really blow them out, did we? Yeah. But it felt like a blowout because Abu Sama had 2 bills and
he went Ashton Jainty on him.
Yeah. So, all righty, Ray wrap up for this week.
Yep.
Word. Everybody, thank you for watching the Nightcap once again. I always forget to do this. We should say, since we're part of the 1012 Podcast Network, we are sponsored by Charlie Hustle. So you can get cool, obviously vintage apparel there. Yeah. So go to Charlie Hustle if you want some cool stuff, t-shirts and hoodies and hats and all sorts of fun stuff. They've got lots of vintage stuff. They've got like they've got shirts for like the 1987 Big 12 tournament or Big 12 champion basketball team and stuff like that. They've got lots of cool vintage shirts. So check out Charlie Hustle, and you can support us and the 1012 Podcast Network. So
that's right. 2020 was 45-0. 2018 didn't count because they broke my leg. Fuck them. We'll see them next week in a win in your
2019 didn't count. 2019
yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
2019 didn't count. They broke my leg. Fuck them. We'll see them next week in a win in your end game for only us, not them.
Absolutely.
They're out all the way out, actually.
Yeah. In summation, fuck Kansas State.